Hello, everyone, and welcome to another round of Parenthood's virtual discussion here. We're on Parenthood's Facebook page. Thank you so much for joining us for today. And today is going to be a very interesting topic. If you're watching right now, please do share this live telecast with your friends and family. You can even create a watch party. So get them on. And we're going to have a very, very interesting discussion today about children, race, and racism. How do we prevent and respond to prejudice here in Malaysia? So to get it started, we want to open up this discussion today in light of a recent events happening in the US in regards to Black Lives Matter. So in Malaysia, we're also starting to respond to the topic of racism, and it's brought up a lot of memories for a lot of people. It's brought up a lot of confusion as well, and racism is indeed present everywhere in the world and as well in Malaysia. So, and I think parents play an important role when it comes to this matter, as our children, especially young children, tend to mirror what we say and what we do. And it's never too early to teach our children about tolerance and diversity. So we're going to have a lot of discussion today. If you do have anything you want to comment or if you want to share, please do comment below, and we would be able to see your comments and probably show it on the show as well. If you do have questions, do type them down at the comment section as well, and we're probably going to address it during the entire show as well. So without further ado, I'm going to start to invite the guests in. And first off, we're going to have, hold on. Okay, we have Miss Siew Julie, who's a psychologist from Seed Connections. Hi, Julie, can you hear me?
Yes, hi Lily. Hi,
All right.
everyone.
And secondly, we have Miss Daphne Iking, who's a TV host and MC. How are you, Daphne?
Good, Alhamdulillah. Hi, everyone. Good evening.
And next up, we have Miss Vanessa Chong, host, producer, and actor. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Hi, how are you doing? Looking lovely, ladies.
Last but not least, we have Gurdev Sharma, Mrs. Asia Worldwide 2020 Lumiere International and actor.
Hi, everyone.
How are you, lovely
today?
ladies, today?
All right.
Good.
Ready to roll.
Very interesting topic. Very interesting topic today, ladies.
Yes, indeed.
Indeed.
So, okay.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Vanessa.
No, like when you were introducing the show just now, it's definitely what you highlighted, especially when it comes to when you bring up your children. It all starts from when you're a child. So parents definitely play a super, super important role with how you mold your child to be not racist, actually, you know?
Right. And okay, so we'll start off this topic with, do you think that racism actually exists here in Malaysia? Because we're such a diverse country. We have such a mixed culture here. So what do you guys think? Maybe Vanessa, you can start first.
Well, I think, this has been playing on my mind. What's so beautiful about Malaysia is the different races that we have, the different cultures, the different races, where that's what makes Malaysia. That's why we're so proud, even when it comes to Malaysian food, even though we have Chinese, Malay, Indian, all sorts of food, we always say our Malaysian food. And this is where, for me as a child, I'm from a mixed parentage. My mom's English from England, my dad's Chinese, Malaysian. But I never knew I was different. I never knew I was different till someone obviously pointed it out. So I went to government school, and children there would point out that you are Chinese would say Guai Mui, which is like ghost girl, orang putih. So you start to realize, oh, I'm different. And I think that's where, like I said, my mother and father never did that. They never go like, oh, do you know you're a mixed child? Or, we knew we were mixed, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm different. It's only when people pointed it out to you, and started staring at you, you're like, why are they staring at me? And back then in Malaysia, not being funny, in the 80s, there were hardly any mixed race kids. And that's a fact, especially going to government school. So me and my brother Vince were looked upon very differently. And we were actually, especially my brother was bullied badly. So I know like in the US it's about Black Lives Matter, about dark skin, but because we were different looking, we were bullied and we were looked upon as, you orang British, you jahat, because that's how they taught us in school, that the British were bad when they came to Malaysia. So people looked at us like, oh, you're Ibu orang English kan, you British, you balik UK, So we actually got that stick of it. We actually did. So I think it's important how you teach your kids, that you shouldn't differentiate people like that. So we definitely got that part of it as children growing up, people staring at us.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we realized, oh, we are different, but
Gurdev, you're Malaysian, but right now you're in Singapore as well. What do you think about racism?
I mean, Malaysia, Singapore, we are one, right?
Yeah.
But
yes.
I don't think anyone's born racist. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
No one's born racist. I agree with you, Vanessa. It starts in school when people start saying that, hey, you are different. Even in school, when I was in school in Malaysia, I had to take lion instead of Malay, Chinese, Indian. I was like, no, I'm Punjabi, I'm Indian, and no one understood that. So it took me time to realize that racism actually, or I wouldn't call it racism solely. I think it's a form of bullying, and bullies are abound. And I think we see it on every arena, but it starts when we go to school. You are not born a racist, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
No.
it's sad, but it exists even in schools here. I have two girls who go to school, and I only realized as a parent, it's tough. And there are times when I had to explain to my girls, like they come back home from school crying, like, oh, my friend said, my skin color is dark. They don't want to be friends with me. So I have to explain it to them, like, no, you're not different.
Right.
You have to explain it lovingly to them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make them understand. And as parents, I think education is vital.
Yeah.
It's
Daphne.
very important for us to educate our kids.
Yeah, that's true. Daphne, what do you think? Does it exist in Malaysia?
Oh, definitely, it does. Again, I echo the sentiments of both the moms just now, and again, it goes back to how we're up. The upbringing of my parents were like very. I remember a time when I was dating my husband, and he saw my gambar where we have all the your class photo, and then he said like, "Eh, ni siapa ni?" And I'll go like, okay, that's Wyomia. And says like, she's what? What is she? Malay, Chinese? And I'm like, I don't know, I really don't know. It didn't really occur to me. And we would only know we were different in that sense when we would go for pendidikan agama or pendidikan moral.
Yeah.
So it was never about race. So that was something that hit him, who is from Semenanjung. We call Malaya. I'm from Sabah, which is the other side of Malaysia. And he said, oh, it's interesting that you look at your fellow peers as just Sabahans, and for him he'll go like, it's just how the parents are like, dia apa, dia budak apa, dia Melayu ke, dia Cina ke, dia India ke, and it wasn't racist per se. It was just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
Do you think there's a difference like in Sabah, Sarawak, and as well as Semenanjung? Do you think, because I'm Sarawakian, so, and you're Sabahan, and we have Semenanjung, so do you think that there's a difference?
There is definitely, because when the One Malaysia concept was introduced by the government a few years ago, and they were, like going with the One Malaysia, I'm like, I already have this in Sabah. But then, now that I'm working with the stateless children or stateless persons, that's when I realized, hey, Sabah's not so very One Malaysia. I mean, it's very One Malaysia, but they too have their sense of racism or their protective defensive where they go like, ini PTI, ini orang Pilak, ini orang Filipino, Indonesia, they datang, so that's why it gets a little bit like, they get a bit protective, like, kamu orang tidak patut masuk kami punya tempat, kami punya
bahasa Sabah sudah keluar.
Semua sudah keluar lah. So that's when I noticed, even within my own community, we get very defensive, and there is some form of racism, because you just don't want other people to take away your rights.
Right.
So,
Julie, I mean, Vanessa started experiencing this in school, and Gurdev also mentioned that her daughters also experience in school. But when do children actually realize, or they expect to see? When do we expect to see some awareness in differences in children? When do they realize, like, oh, this one's a boy, this one's a girl?
Yeah. Okay. The interesting thing about this is that, when we look at studies, it actually tells us that even infants can differentiate the differences. So in terms of like skin tones and all that, infants recognize the difference. However, the only difference, there's no meaning to it. So when we talk about differences like gender differences or racial differences, the recognition is there. It starts really early, and it begins expanding. It begins expanding into the preschool age, but there's no meaning towards it. So all the kids know is that, we look a little different, but that's it. It stops there. So you are a boy, I'm a girl, we have different skin tones, you look a little different from me, but it just stops at that, nothing much. But the differences in terms of where it brings meaning, like you are different in the way you behave, you act, and I might start having a little different thought about you. It starts in the preschool age, and like what Vanessa and Gurdev have pointed out, schooling age, when you start socializing with your peers and your friends and other people start pointing it out, then the awareness heightens during that time.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is, when it heightens, it's more like I had school friends also come to me and they will go like, how is it growing up where your father is Chinese and your mother is English? And then I'll go, they're my parents. I mean, of course, it's interesting. And like, again, we shouldn't be afraid to accept our race as well, because I think it's important. Yes, we are Malaysians, but that's what the beauty of Malaysia is. We have different races. So we shouldn't be afraid of like, we shouldn't mention Chinese in it. What's wrong with also mentioning our race? There's nothing wrong with that. But it's more of about differentiating it, like going, dealing Uncle Hugh scold you in the lift. Like, there was this guy, he actually told me this story. He's got perfect Cantonese, okay? So, parents like to do Uncle scold you anyway, why must we always blame the uncle or auntie anyway, right? I mean, I have a daughter now, and I don't do that, you see, because I realize we shouldn't, we actually, if we do that from the start, we actually scare our kids, right? So this guy, he's Indian, and he said to me, because he has perfect Cantonese, I think better than mine, he was standing in a lift in his condo, and there was a little girl, and maybe she was just being a little naughty. He told me this story, and she went, "Ikokiling Uncle Hugh scold you," I said it in Cantonese. No. As soon as the lift opened, he actually went, "Moi xiong ko, moi gang, Uncle Hugh scold you." I forgot how to say it in Chinese. And the mom was just stunned. So I think, you see, example like that, you don't put the fear in. So when you go and think, Indian uncles will scold me. Indian uncles are scary, And I've been through, but I speak Cantonese, I speak a bit of Mandarin, obviously Malay. So back then, people will assume that I can't understand anything besides English. So they'll talk behind your back. First of all, when you talk behind someone's back, talk behind their back, like far away lah, not in front of their face. So they'll say in the, like, you know what I mean? You want to talk behind the back, talk far away, not where I'm standing right there and going, whatever. So even my mom understands Mandarin, you see. Then I know I'm going all over the place, but like my mom, being a British woman, came to Malaysia like almost 40 years ago. She adapted, she had all sorts of friends. She didn't just stick to her Mat Saleh friends, which again, nothing wrong with that, but she wanted to adapt. That's why we all adapted. So they would speak Mandarin, and my mom would all of a sudden say, 我们会听你知道吗? Like, people would just get shocked. So I think, what I want to try and say is, even with that, we live in Malaysia where there's so many diversity. Do not assume someone doesn't understand the language. Again, if you want to talk bad about someone, go over there, far away. It happens. We do gossip, right? But don't do it in front of someone's face, And I think these are the sort of things you can. Your child will look at you as a mother if you do things like that. The Iking Kwai or China Kwai or whatever Kwai. The Chinese like to use Kwai for everyone, like your ghost, right? So, I mean,
but
these
then
are the
again,
small things that I think as parents, we can try to not do in front of our kids, and then they will learn from us the good habits, not the bad habits.
Yeah, Gurdev, you have something to add?
Yeah, I so agree with you, Vanessa. But then again, this is the fear that's instilled into the kids from the parents itself. I mean, this is the racism that's put into the kids as well, right? So that's why when a child is racist, we should ask, like, from where did you learn this, right? You learn this from your parents? And exactly, the kampung lifestyle as well. Even growing up, like, oh, be careful, don't go out. No, the black uncle will catch you. So there's always that fear that the black uncle is going to come and catch you. So there's that skin color, a fear that grows in you, right? So it's so common all parents
Yeah.
do that. My mom did that, but I don't do that to my child, because I know that if I do that, my child's going to grow up thinking that, oh, if you are dark skinned, you are bad. So we don't want that instilled in them.
Right. Julie,
Correct.
maybe you can expand more on some of the mistakes or missteps that parents make when teaching preschoolers, especially,
I think the most basic and fundamental one has already been brought up. Is threats. Why do we even as adults use other races, or people of other skin color as threats? That's totally. I mean, I just can't understand, why we use that. So that's a big no. We do not use other people as threats. And another thing that I think as Asians we need to learn is to talk to our kids about it. Many times when kids come back and tell us, why am I different? Why is my color darker? Or why is my friend a different color from me? We either hush them, we either say, don't say that, it's not nice, or we avoid that kind of questions. So when we don't talk about it, we do not discuss with our kids generally learn that it's a taboo. It's something that I shouldn't talk about. I feel uncomfortable. I know that's the difference, but hey, nobody's explaining to me. So we should talk to kids as young as they are. We can just use age appropriate instructions or age appropriate words to help them understand. Now, talking about skin colors, I know this is going to be a little more challenging, but because I do have kids that comes and say that, why am I different in color? Why am I darker and I don't like to be dark? And I think that instead of saying that, you are just created that way, we can even expand a little more, use science to explain to them on why we are different in terms of our skin color. So there are many ways to engage children in talking about diversity, talking about race, individuality, and I think we need to start talking to them instead of threatening them with the black uncle all the quite things that we brought up. We need to talk to them, and we need to instill a sense of kindness, compassion for diversity.
I think besides all the threats, I think there's a lot of people as well. Because Melayu malas lah or Chinese kedekut lah, So we even ourselves we tend to say those kind of things without us realizing. So have you guys been in any situation? I know Vanessa's story, but Daphne, have you experienced such things as well?
I remember when we were in UK and these bunch of boys, one of them I had a little crush on, and after what he said, I'm like, no more crush on you. But he did say something along the lines of, what's wrong? What happened to your nose? Were you rolled over by a steamroller? I will always remember that.
Oh my goodness.
Because of course I didn't have the manchung. But right now I'm like looking at my nose
Manchung,
I swear, I can't believe he actually said that. His name was Denver. I will always remember you, Denver. You're very horrible. You're so mean. But going back to what you guys were discussing, Denver, from UK, St. John. But going back, I remember sometimes it's about being really oblivious. Because in Sabah and Sarawak, now there's more Indians there. But back then, jarang kita jumpa orang India. It was so jarang that they will play a game. If you see an Indian or Punjabi, I'm sorry, Gurdev, we'll play that game where Chop Bengali, We'll play a game called Chop Bengali because it's so jarang we get it. And we didn't realize, we just thought it was funny. And because so jarang, so when we do that Chop Bengali, and my father would go natu kaling tu, natu kaling, because he thought that kaling or kaling is just he didn't think it was derogatory per se. He thought his friends were saying habis itu bunyi dorang pakai itu anklet, the bells on the ankles, so it makes cling cling cling, so he believed it. So he started saying natu kaling, so my sister. And it's not as if he was racist or anything, because my father was someone who made us very well versed in all our books and stuff. So he would make us read the Bible, Taoism, Hinduism. So he's always encouraged us to embrace and be tolerant about other races and stuff. So he made us very, very aware of that. It's just that sometimes I think it's because tidak tahu lah ba, macam orang kampung lah, they didn't know any better. So when my sister got married to an Indian guy here in Semenanjung, right? The first thing my sister said, Dad, I need to warn you, you cannot just simply use the word kalinga here. We're going to a temple all. And he didn't realize it until when he came here, started meeting up and everything. Then he found out and he said, I'm so sorry all this while. Saingat itu ankle. So sometimes it's about educating your own family members who may really not know it. They don't know any better.
Yeah. But
Hold on. Can I just?
Husband is just.
Can I just?
Special guest here.
You look different.
No,
look
the
different,
thing
okay?
is, Mahathir also used the derogatory word keling, and you guys still voted for him, what?
Anyway,
That's
you
why
can just
Okay, back to
audio
our
off.
topic.
No,
Okay, Julie.
But speaking about that, right? Sometimes it's not even your own. It's not even other races saying something about that race. You even have not being funny, right? Let's say an Indian mom, or like saying, oh, don't go in the sun, you get darker.
That's true.
Like Indian moms can do that as well. So again, you're taught like, being dark is not good. I'm not going to mention. Yeah,
There you
I'm
go.
not going to mention the actual brand, but selling products like to be fair and lovely. Why if you walk in a room just because you're slightly more tan, no one looks at you, but all of a sudden your face is white, but I don't know how the rest of the body got white also with the face product. Everyone starts looking at you like, oh, so beautiful. All this has been imprinted in young girls' minds in Malaysia, that if you, like me, I love going out in the sun, and doesn't mean I'm bad that I want to be nice and tan. I just sometimes like to have that tan look, and sometimes people say, oh, you're like my mom, when she first came to Malaysia, she was pregnant with Vincent, she was on holiday, and all the nurses were like, wow, like, she's like, what's going on? Why do they like this? Like, because my mom's always like, I stick my legs out the window trying to get a tan, and people in Malaysia are like, wow, you're so white, so I think it's the obsession of trying to be white in Malaysia. It's true, right? Asian countries always sell that white is beautiful. So I think it's even not just other races saying it, your own mother, your own family members saying, oh, white is beautiful. So it's not just outside other people saying it, it's your own family members saying it. So I think we need to re-educate ourselves. Hopefully, let's say if your mom did it to you, hopefully if you have the mind to think about it, like, okay, I'm not going to do it to my child now. You can break that cycle. We can break it now, and I said, Malaysia is beautiful. We have all sorts of races, and we need to be proud of it. Even though we have to tick the box, like you said, that line, because I grew up thinking, I'm Chinese, but I'm also English, because I was aware. Why not? I mean, if you really have to have the race, let someone put all their races there. Chinese, English, Punjabi, Arab, whatever race they are, you really want to know their background. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you put line, what is line?
What's line? What's others? What's others, right? So education. I think the key word is education.
Okay, guys, just hold on for a second. I think
more
we're
than
here.
3 races. Sorry, okay.
Okay, so sorry. I think our audience is hearing a little bit of an echo. So if any of you guys are have your Facebook on as well, just turn that off as well. Yeah. So okay, when we talk about influence in young children and all, Julie, would you agree that probably is it the influence comes from mostly parents themselves or surroundings? Could you expand more on that?
It begins at home, isn't it? Because when the kids are young, it's their parents or their primary caregivers that they are with. So like, what, all the examples that have been cited here, one core theme that we can see is that it's a message that has been passed down from generation to generation. So it could be like, my grandparents say that it's this, and then I don't think much about it. So I form that stereotype, I form that belief about other people, other race, and it goes down to the next generation. And I say and do things that maybe I don't even realize. So it definitely begins at home. And obviously, as the child expands, as the child socializes with their friends and with other people around them, then it will be their school and their peers that will start playing an important role in influencing them. But I think the home environment is so important. Parents, primary caregiver, we are the greatest influence to our kids first. And then if we are in education, or you are someone in the community that is working with children and youth, that's the next level that they are interacting with. So these are really, big players in influencing the development of a child's perception of stereotype, prejudice.
Vanessa, I mean, Kayla is like, how old is she? 2, 3 now?
Well, she's gonna be 2.5 soon. So
2.5.
for those of you who don't know my background, yeah, my husband's Indian. So Kayla's basically got Chinese, English, and Indian blood, you know. And she plays with her cousin, and the cousins, they don't look at each other like, oh, you look different. And then my sister's married Australian. He's actually
Australian,
Danish.
right?
So my little nephew now has blue eyes, you know, like and that reminds me also when I was a kid, it's quite funny. I think I was around 7 last and one or 8. This little school boy, they're really cute. They go like, you look at her. Now her eyes is brown, right? I was thinking, so are all your eyes. To me, brown is black, brown is the same. He said, but when she grows up, it will turn blue. You know, so you're so cute. That's how children would think. And you know, like her eyes got to turn blue. You know, I was like, right? But even then, I knew, no, they're not gonna turn blue. You know, so kids are very curious. You know, at a certain age. You know, so like I remember when I went to government school. So obviously my mom's from England and she couldn't teach me my DM. Not her fault. She was a stay-at-home mom. My dad obviously is the main breadwinner and went to work. So I had some teachers. I remember all my teachers, they were really nice. You know, I had obviously Chinese teachers. I remember very nice Malay teachers as well. But I had one Malay teacher, and this is not talking about race, this is what I know. And he had something in it for me because, again, I look different. And Standard 2, I think you're supposed to do your clocks, you know, the long hand, short hand, and stuff like that. And he went and said, okay, go home and do an extra homework, color all your clocks. So, you know, you're 8 years old, a bit lazy. Maybe I didn't color all my clocks, but I did all the extra homework. I went to school the next day. And because I didn't color all my clocks, he took me to the back of the class. You know where the Kemahan table was with all the, like, got pens and whatever. So he took a new and trendy bottle and slapped my face with it. He whacked my face like that.
Oh my God.
Because he hated me that much. Okay?
Oh my God.
This is the thing. It's not even about. So yeah, this is the true story. And I was so in shock. Obviously, I mean, I'm an 8-year-old girl. I was so in shock. I went home. I didn't tell my mom, but my mom saw my face was red. Yeah. And then I told my mom. So again, this is also, I just want to tie in with bullying. Sometimes if a child doesn't want to go to school or something, there must be something deeper. It might not just because they're trying to play truant or be naughty. There must be, and they're just afraid to tell you because I'll get in bigger trouble with teacher. But my mom saw it, and I was brave enough to say, teacher slapped me, you know, and my father went to the school. And I saw him talking to the teacher, and then it never happened again. But yet I had another teacher who was so kind to me, who during exams for moral sat me in front of the class. You might say, oh, favoritism, but she knew that I was struggling with the Bahasa. She actually translated all the words for me, and that's how I learned I could start to speak Bahasa. And so I remember those kind teachers. But of course, I wanted to highlight this also because there was quite a prejudice back then. You know, I don't know about now, but I experienced it. My brother Vince experienced it. You know, he could have been killed because they threw his tumbler in the monsoon drain. They hated him so much because he was this big, round, chubby boy. But you see, at the end of the day, he won a contest that was predominantly Malay contest, you know, in AF1. So I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is, but we never harp that anger towards the people that did that to us. We just grew from it and said, don't let that, you know, hinder us. Because my mom and dad always, you know, they always had such like they always didn't make us feel different. It's just like I said, other people, you know, they'll stare at you. We'll go out for dinner, round table. I know they were staring because we are a big family, but they used to like just stare like that at our table. Sometimes it's manners, like you gotta teach your kids, you know, people manners. And my sister Pam used to just stare back at them like that, and then they like wake up, you know. So I mean, I might be jumbling all over the place, but I'm just trying to say that how you know, all this, it's not just color of your skin at the end of the day, it's just how you're taught, like, oh, Orang Barat is not good, Orang this is not good, you know what I mean? So there's also a prejudice to Orang Barat, you know, at the end of the day. So especially back then, now things have changed a little bit, but there will always be bullying, there will always be some sort of prejudice and racism in all over the world. But whoever we are, if we can change that with our children and make a difference, let's just, you know, if we can start from home. Yeah. Sorry, I talk a lot.
Who disappeared? Oh, Gurdev.
Oh, sorry.
Are we losing our host?
Oh my God, sorry guys. Okay, so we have a Facebook comment. There is a need to teach multicultural education in our schools, especially preschools. Thoughts on this, Daphne?
Well, yeah, as soon as you can teach your kids, it has to start from home, actually. It doesn't have to, you don't have to just wait for teachers to, of course, it'll be great if everyone is on board. But yeah, it's basically just about kindness and love and compassionate and not seeing each other as, you should embrace the diversity. We should, it's okay to have an identity. I'm Kadazan, I'm Sabahan, I'm Malaysian. That's fine.
Yeah.
But don't use it to poke fun or to bully another person just because they are different from what your beliefs are. That's it. So yeah, definitely we should be teaching that first from home front, and it has to start from the parents. We can't just depend on teachers out there.
Okay, so I mean, Julie, I wanted to ask you, because as we grow older, right, we tend to self-segregate without us noticing. So I mean, it's a common phenomenon, especially when kids go to school. They tend to be, with their own clan and all that. So what can parents do to encourage children to widen their circle? Should we interfere into this, or shouldn't we?
I think it's as kids grow older, it's quite a common thing for them to go through. It's developmentally normal, so they tend to self-segregate to put themselves into their own groups. So people who are similar with me, we tend to mix more together. Then the ones who are not too similar, we might not want to include them. It's a normal thing, but what I think that as parents we can do is have open discussion with them. But I think what's really powerful is the power of modeling and showing them ourselves. So as parents, we need to challenge our own beliefs, our own behavior. We need to ask ourselves, if we are talking about diversity, we are talking about self-segregation, we are telling our kids, you need to be kind to everyone, you need to mix with everyone. Are we showing them that we are doing that ourselves? Do we have friends of different races, of different culture? When we bring them for travel and all that, what's on top of our agenda? Are we introducing them to a new culture? Are we introducing them to a diverse culture? Or is it just about us? Is it just about fun? So we need to model that kind of behavior. We need to ask ourselves first, are we showing our kids how to accept other people? Are we showing them? Are we modeling to them? Yeah.
Totally. But Gurdev, I wanted to ask you, have you been in any situation, or your kids have been in any situation? How did you respond to that situation?
Actually, I want to share a story.
Sure, go ahead.
The total opposite of being in a situation where someone's racist. Okay,
Right.
When you just get your license, like I was 17, I got my car license, and I was driving. I'm originally from Muar, a small town in Johor, and I was driving in Malacca. And of course, I was such a good driver.
Oh,
I was at
no.
the traffic. I was at the traffic light, and there was a car in front of me. It wasn't my fault. There was a car in front. I was really slow. There was a car in front of me, and this person stopped just a couple of meters away from the traffic light, and I gave a very hard brake, and I stopped. But unfortunately, there was a car behind me that could not stop in time, and he hit me, and my car jumped and hit the car in front. Obviously, the person in front was not so happy about it. He came out. I don't want to mention races here, but he came out. He was this. Okay, he was a specific race. He came out. He was so mad, and he goes like, "Are you blind? Can't you? Don't you know how to drive?" And I was like, "It wasn't my fault. I was 17, for God's sakes." I was shivering there. And this guy behind me, this Indian guy behind me, he was telling the guy, "It wasn't her fault. I hit her. Her car jumped and hit you." He told him to just stay out of it, and it's her fault. Unfortunately, the area where the accident happened was also the similar race. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you get my point. Okay, same kampung lah, huh?
Yeah.
So this guy said that if you try to be funny here, you will be in trouble. And he was so verbally abusive. I was scared. I was crying. I was in tears. The other people came. The kampung people came. And this guy was just going on about how it was my fault. So and he was just going like, "It's your fault." He was pointing his finger at me and things like that. And the other guy just looked at him and said that, keep quiet. We saw what happened. And oh, I hear a baby crying.
Yeah, Daphne,
Go ahead.
are you okay?
But I'm okay.
The baby's crying for
Yeah,
this story also. It's like,
I'm sorry. Okay,
Go on. Sorry.
so the couple people went like, we saw what happened. It's not her fault. It was your fault. You stopped. And the guy went like, hey, hello, aren't you the same race as me? Aren't you supposed to be on my side rather than on her side? She's Indian. Like, what are you thinking, you know? And they go like, no, we would side who is right. Yes, you are our race, but it doesn't mean that we are going to be on your side. And it hit me, you know, like, wow, we Malaysians, we are so culturally diverse, but we are so integrated. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there are some people who are racist. That's why I said it's called bullying rather than racism, because you want to show that you're more superior. But at the end of the day, when this kind of things happen, you realize that, wow, you know, we are just lucky. We are so blessed to live in a country like Malaysia or even Singapore, because everyone is so integrated.
Yeah.
So
in a way.
In a way,
And
we
I
are
also
so
think Malaysians
integrated.
are quite tolerant. We're quite tolerant as well, I think. I think Malaysians are quite tolerant with certain things that happen, you know. I mean, you might say, oh, that's just being silent, but I think, I don't know, we're quite tolerant with certain things, and we're like, it's okay, you know, we'll just pick ourselves up, and, you know, we won't let it affect us too badly and stuff like that. But again, like I say, it's just a whole different spectrum when it comes to, it's like small things, but of course some people, it can affect them really badly, especially when it's bullying, you know, and it can really affect a child, you know. So I think it's important to really, you know, nurture our children. Like my mom, I used to, whatever she said was like scripture to me. So just an example, this has nothing to do with race. So when I started first day of standard one, she said, okay, Vanessa, when you go to school, I mean, this is how I remembered it. No one is your enemy. Everyone's your friend. Okay. You must be friends with everyone. So I remember this Chinese girl came to me. I'm just saying this because it's what I remember. Like, she said, hey, don't friend that girl. I don't like her. Don't friend her. Then I went, no, she didn't do anything to me. I'm not going to defriend her, because my mom imprinted that in me. Like, you do not, you know, defriend someone. Like, so at a young age, I was already like, that's why I don't have things like, I don't friend this one, don't friend, you know, that's how cliques start, how bullying start, you know, and small things like even my mom saying, don't throw rubbish on the floor, because in England, because that's how she taught me, in England, the police will catch you, and that's true. I mean, they get fined. So even from then, I've had wrappers in my pocket. So I'm just saying how these small little things parents teach you, that good things imprinted in you will last your lifetime. So here I see someone throw a can outside the car. What is wrong with these people? Because from young, I already do that, you know. I keep the rubbish in my pocket till I see a rubbish bin, till now. You know, because my mom taught me that. So nothing to do with even race, things like that, you know, not simply unfriending people for no reason, you know, like keeping. So these are the small things that parents impact your life so deeply. You know, it really impacts you. So, you know, it is true, you know, how parents play such an important role.
Exactly. But there probably would there would come a time where parents must explain that things, when something painful happens or something unfair happens, how would you explain this to your young child? Julie, how can we go about this?
So we are looking at situations whereby the child experienced some form of bullying, some form of, you know, discrimination, and it happens, right? So it happens to some children, and I think what's very important is that as parents, number one, we need to assure the kids that it's nothing of their fault. Okay, because usually when they are very young, they feel that, hey, maybe there's something wrong with me. If they are in primary school, 8, 9, 10 years old, it's going to be even the emotional impact is going to be there, because they start comparing themselves with their peers. So we need to give them a lot of assurance that, hey, it's not you, you know, it's just the way how some people speak. So we also need to empower them with like how they can respond to their friends. And I think for me personally, I think it's very important as parents to speak to them about how they feel about it, what are their emotions about it, and to constantly validate what they are feeling. feeling, because sometimes what we do is that we tell them, Nema, like, you know, it's okay, people do this to you, then you do something else. Yeah, it's true, we want to teach them the coping skills, but what they feel within them, the anxiety, the fear, the shame, embarrassment, the rejection, actually it's a lot of rejection, right? It's so real for them, so we need to be there for them, to just provide them that safe space to express themselves, to be themselves, and then assure them and provide them with coping skills.
Daphne, you are very open with your children as well. I mean, you talk to them about everything. I mean, how would you handle this sort of situation? Explain to them.
My daughter is friends with an alleged bully of another girlfriend's daughter, because she's fairer, she's white, she's mixed parentage. So Belle is friends with both sides lah. It's just that she's closer to the alleged bully. So I had to sit down with her and I said, remember those days when friend A, who is the one who's being bullied, was there for you? You know, you must remember those times when she was there for you. You should stand up against the alleged bully, if it's true, what we're hearing from the parents and the teachers and all, because if you don't say anything, that means you, in a way, agree. Because I think she was also afraid, because dua-dua kawan kan. It's just that she's closer to the alleged bully. I keep on saying alleged because this is still a case. But yeah, and I think that's very important for us to bring that up. And that was something that the father, actually, we had a real good sit down with her conversation and saying things like, you know, it's not right. And this was also about a topic on bullying and everything, but also about embracing, you know, each other. It's not nice when you think of someone who's different from you or speaks differently from you. Also because Belle has been, because Belle comes from my first marriage. So they were wondering how come her surname's Chinese and then the other kids are Melayu kan, and then, you know, stuff like that. And then I had to explain it to her in little words that she could understand when she was much she was much younger. But now that she's growing up, we want to tell her the truth, you know, the truth about her identity and stuff like that, without causing too much confusion. So yeah, you have to be honest with them, and that you notice that kids are very resilient, and they can understand as long as you tell them the truth. I always cushion. I always try and cushion or try and sugarcoat it or try, you know, find my way of very long. My husband just goes, pop, says it as it is, you know, and they go like, why didn't you just tell it as how Papa told us? And I'm like, well, you know, I thought I got fairy tale story nicer, but you go like, no, this is what's happening and you shouldn't, you know, yeah.
That's the thing. I think us as mothers, we tend to cushion a lot of things. I mean, is that practical, Julie? Should we cushion things?
Should we sugarcoat things?
I think everyone has their own way of dealing with this. So, you know, there's nothing wrong sugarcoating, but the message must be clear. That it must be factual, it must be clear, no hiding, you know, wishy-washy behind things. Children appreciate the honesty. Because there is so much of curiosity. If we hide things from them, we hush them and say, you know, let's not talk about it, or we are going to talk about it later, they will find their way of getting that information, and you don't know where they're going to get, you know, whatever information from. So I'm always an advocate that it should start at home. However uncomfortable the topic is to us as parents, we need to find a way to make ourselves comfortable and speak to our kids about it. And we learn along the way. You know, none of us are experts at explaining things to our kids. We make mistakes. Our kids are different. If you have 3 kids, you have 3 different personalities.
All different characters,
So it's very different, different style for different kids. So we learn along the way, but be honest with them, be compassionate, accepting, and they will trust you with you know, the messages that you send to them. Yeah, and just like Vanessa said, you know, what your mom told you, it's like the gospel truth, right?
It's like the Bible, you know. And I think like the old saying where they say children should be seen and not heard, those are things that's in the past, you know. At the end of the day, yes, there always has to be respect, you know, parent and child, but there also has to be communication. And I think, and growing up, a lot of people would have thought, oh, my mom is Mat Saleh, she was very lenient, you know, because Barat are very lenient. But no, my mom, If you meet her now, friendliest woman, she'll dance with you on the dance floor. But growing up, strictest mom ever. When I say strictest mom, as in she really molded us. She gave us the foundation. But as soon as we were older, she became our best friends. And even till now, we're still knocking on the door like, Ma, I have this problem. Ma, she's got 6 kids. Okay, my mom has 6 kids. And I think another thing that's really important, my mom did, she never compared us. I know I might be going slightly off topic, but never comparing us. Like, she knew each child was different. And because of that, all of us are so close. All my siblings are so proud of each other's achievements. It's not like, why are you not like this one? Why? Because every child is different. And having 6, one will be good at sports. One will be good at the computer. One will be good at something else. And if you can nurture that talent that child has, I mean, as a parent, of course, you want to see your child achieve this, achieve that, but you need to really see what they're interested in, and of course, guide them along the way, and never be judgmental. So my mom she's so not judgmental. Even if you are this, you're that, she's always been there. Like I said, strictest mom growing up, because I was scared of my mom growing up. Like, I cannot even simply go out date. But she made us become best friends. All of us still run to my mom. You're like, Mom, can we come and lay on your bed and talk to you? And I think I would love that for my daughter to have that closeness with me, like that respect. That she must have respect, but respect goes both ways. I think at the end of the day, respect goes both ways.
If Kayla were to go through something like that, how would you react, Vanessa?
I think it's going to be hard, because obviously she's at an age where she's not really gone to school or anything. She's still just playing and going here, going there. But I think what I will impart on her is to tell her before she goes to school, you must let mommy and daddy know if there's anything. Do not be afraid to share with us, because once they are free to share, and if let's say they get bullied or something, then we don't know how they are dealing with it psychologically, and then it can end up, like there's a lot of sad cases like suicides and stuff like that, where the child is too afraid to come to the parents to share, like, I'm being bullied at school. So the only thing I can do now is to set the foundation, to have an open communication with my daughter, that you can come to mommy. You can come to an authority to tell them. You're not going to get in more trouble if you come to someone of authority to say, look, as long as you're not telling fibs, like it's a real situation. And, because I can't vouch. Kayla is not at an age where I know what all this is going to happen. Like, Daphne, you would know better, like you as well, because your daughter is, your son, daughter is older. But for me, I would hope that my daughter can come to me and share, and I'll be able to explain to her, or go to the school, or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
That's hopefully by then there'll be less of worries.
Oh.
Yeah. Right.
Let's hope so, yeah.
Gurdev, what about you?
In what sense? I don't know.
If something were to happen, like
because your kids are older as well, right?
It's scary in the sense, I think I know what you mean, Vanessa, as well. But it's scary in the sense because now most of the information that the kids are getting is via social media.
True. Different world. We live in a different world.
It's a different world. Like, I'm an 80s baby in the 90s, and I was in school then. Like, we didn't have Facebook or Instagram or TikTok even, and now they're getting all the information from there. My daughter's coming to me going like, this happened, and I'm like, the first question I asked her, are you sure it's real? Are you sure? She's like, yeah, it's on Instagram, it has to be real. So that is in their mindset. So I think it's so important for us as parents to we need to constantly know what our kids are being exposed to. Like, what are they seeing on social media? What kind of information are they getting? And that's kind of brainwashing them as well. That's molding them into who they are going to be in the future. We are not the only educators they have right now. We are the main educators, and then they have their school teachers, their friends, their peers. And then they have social media and
the internet, the pros and cons.
Yeah,
exactly.
Catherine Krishna on Facebook says adults need to take the lead to make this change, regardless of their role as parents, educators, and mentors. And yes, I think we all agree on that as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, last but not least, Julie, we are so informed about choosing the safe. We're so informed about the importance of getting youngsters to eat proper food, but how can parents be better informed about the importance of fostering an early appreciation for diversity, especially in Malaysia?
Well, I think that it, like I've mentioned earlier on, it
Can you make
always
Nenen
starts
for
with
Adik?
us because we are basically role models for our kids, right? So we need to be aware of our actions, of our words, what we say, how we react to people around us. So it begins then. We need to be aware because, like I said earlier on, many times we are not aware of our own reactions and how we are responding to the kids. So awareness begins with ourselves as parents, and once we foster that awareness within ourselves, then we can start nurturing our next generation. And I also just wanted to add this because when we talk about multiracial stereotypes, prejudice, and we say that okay, we need to teach the next generation, we need to create awareness among the children, but what's really important is that we also need to take opportunity, because this is not like a formal lesson, it's not like an English lesson or moral lesson that I can
Yep.
sit my kids down for an hour and show you what are the examples of being non-racist. It comes up
Yeah.
in our everyday lives, you see. So when they come back from school and tell you about, say, a friend bullying another person, it's time for us to engage with them and ask them, hey, how did you respond? Like Daphne say, you have to engage your kids. So these are valuable opportunities. It begins from preschool, it will go up to their primary, elementary, and secondary school. We need to take all these opportunities to engage with them. And it's going to happen from time to time in their social media when they come back and tell us about their social media feeds. That's where we need to be aware and talk to them. So I don't think that there is like a proper time where we are going to just sit down for a family dinner and hey, let's talk about prejudice or stereotypes.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen that way.
Topic
but
of
in
the
our
day.
daily lives, yeah.
It's not like the Kardashians where you go and sit down. So let's talk about this topic today. It's all set up. So how was the...
That's the thing. We can't really control what our kids are seeing on our phones these days.
Yeah,
And they have
Indeed,
access to
yeah.
so many things.
You're making me
So-
scared, Gurdev, about that. I forgot about that social
Oh
media
my
thing.
God.
Yeah,
There's so much
Vanessa.
coming your way, man.
Even like now at 2.5, she'll watch something and then she learned this thing. She went yucky. I mean, what the hell? What is that? It's about some food that's yucky. I'm like,
Yeah.
see how so far?
Yes.
How do you
We
control
can't ditch
that?
the internet. Yeah, we can't ditch the internet because it's part of their life. But it is
Sure.
so important to be aware of what they're watching and all this, because good point. I better take notes on that.
Okay, I think we're gonna run out of time right now. So Daphne, any last words from you about this whole topic?
I think at the end of the day, which Catherine said about having the adults being very much, it's crucial on how we tell the story, especially our leaders. The problem what we have here in Malaysia is there is still race politics, and I think that's the
Correct.
reason why we get, for
Thanks for bringing
us,
it up. It's true.
yeah, for us, we are able to verify the news. We're able to think rationally because we're in the media, so we understand how the media works. But then for those in the mass, like my orang kampung lah, they go like, oh, betul tu, tengok dia jahat, because
To them, that's scripture,
correct, because they're evoking the emotions of who has more rights and who you're Bumi Putra, but you're not really a Bumi Putra of that status, the Kadazan Dusun, you're just, you're Bumi Putra, but you're not really Bumi Putra. Like this whole Bumi Putra thing also gets me really annoyed. But okay, we can't change that. But yes, racial politics has to stop, and it really is. The leaders have to do something about it. We need to be more smarter when we choose our leaders and votes. And go out and vote, guys.
You go, guys.
I'll
It's a
come back.
trickling
I'll come
event.
back.
Gurdev, what about you? Any last words?
I think we need to be patient. It takes time. We can't change this mindset overnight. But then again, I think we need to just humanize the stories, talk to our children. Again, it starts from home. I agree with you, Julie, Vanessa, Daphne. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
There's so many things
We
to
are
do.
the world.
Yeah, we
We
can take
are the
that.
children. At the
So
end of
just
the
have to
day,
be
it starts with us.
patient.
Yes.
Yeah.
Patience.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
starts with
Vanessa.
us.
So
Yeah,
from
it starts with us.
you, last words to parents
Yeah,
out there
for me,
watching.
it starts from you, it starts from us, it starts from at home. So if we can make a change, make a better place for you and for me.
There you go. All right. So, okay, thank you so much, everyone. I think I had a very, very wonderful chat today. We really have to think about how we are talking to our children, how we are acting with our children as well. I think we have to be honest with how things are going about, be honest, and also be open with all our children. So thank you so much for this insightful session. I hope everyone enjoyed this live session. For those who are still watching, please share this video if you enjoyed this video and you think that is very, very helpful. So ladies, I love chatting with you guys. Thank you so much for being with me. So thank
Lovely
you.
meeting you two ladies there as well. Lovely meeting you, chatting with you.
Thank you
Have
so
a
much,
great
ladies.
weekend, everyone.
I'm gonna let you
You
guys
too.
go. So bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Good night, everyone. Thank you, ladies.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Sweet dreams.